Yeah. 12:39. Just taking a little time to myself. Yeah. I noticed that a lot of these banks they had some problems during 2008, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Malpractice and negligence suits the director of the Administrative Office of the United States Courts. Yeah. Mhm. To the extent of the director considers appropriate, provide representation for and hold harmless. Yeah. Liability insurance for any person who is an officer or employee of the Federal Public Defender Organization. I'd like to get all that insurance. Yeah. I remember emailing them. Yeah. Now, money damages for injury, loss of liberty, loss of property, or personal injury or death arising from malpractice or negligence. Yeah. I've obviously experienced a lot of that. Yeah. uh And though I haven't appeared in court right now as a defendant, pooch, I've appeared in numerous court proceedings where the testimony right now of the Sequim Police Department, yes, the prosecuting attorneys, right? Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna want all your insurance. Yes. hmm it seems that the actual federal employees have been listening to those that are state employees. Yeah. And they refuse to actually acknowledge any crimes. Yeah. Now, it is a strike, yeah, against the actual employment of those that are in city, counties, and states. Yeah. Where they say, well, obviously we can conceal crime. Yeah. We have no obligation to enforce any state or federal laws. Yeah. While at the same time being in employment of offices. Yeah. Where you could at any moment be subpoenaed to have to appear before any agency, commission. Yeah. Or courts of the United States of America. Now, I get to hold you liable. Right. And them. Yeah. And when I say public defender, as if they're going to represent you in federal court because of you being insolvent. Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to. Ooch. I'm going to take their insurance. Yep. And then they're going to provide counsel to you. At what expense? Does the federal government have an obligation to provide for the indigent state, city, and county employees a legal counsel because of the ordering of what's known as restitution? See, modification of interest by court. If the court determines that the defendant does not have the ability to pay interest, yes, under this subsection, the court may waive the requirement for interest. Yeah. Limit the total of interest payable to a specified dollar amount. Limit the length of period during which interest accrues. Yes. Penalty and delinquent fine. Yep. If a fine or restitution becomes delinquent, the defendant shall pay as a penalty an amount equal to 10%. Yes. Of the principal amount that is delinquent if a fine or restitution becomes delinquent. Of more than? Yeah. Interest on fines and restitutions. Yeah. Of more than $2,500 unless the fine is paid in full before the 15th day of the judgment. Ouch. Liable for interest beginning next day. That is not a Saturday, Sunday. Shall be computed daily. From the first day on which the defendant is liable for interest under paragraph 1. Now, there's always this big question of how they compute the actual interest on any of the fines or restitutions of the federal government. Poach. Now, when I mentioned March 5th of 2020, is it well, it's daily, yes, that you have to pay EGP and the Superior Court of whoever having been sentenced to pay a fine willfully fails to pay the fine shall be fined not more than twice the amount. Yes. Of the unpaid balance of the fine or $10,000, whichever is greater, in prison not more than 1 year, or both. Yep. Now the obstruction. Well, see, it looked to me that you were getting an extra month's worth of interest from 227, and since you didn't provide what it was, that was valuable consideration. Right now, I'm looking at some banking institutions and credit card companies that are legally obligated. Yes. for making sure the calculation of the actual amounts of attorney fees and costs. Yeah. And then when the court orders fines and restitutions. Yeah. I just wanted to know right now. Well, I'm suing Spokane. Yeah. Sheriff Ozzie. Now, have you ever given any testimony in the state legislature or the United States Congress? Yeah. For every sheriff, deputy sheriff, and undersheriff that has any knowledge of any felonies? Yeah. Did any of you speak to those that are in the state legislature? You know, quite possibly when getting sued. Yeah. I'd say you committed treason against the state for allowing any and all misprision of any crimes. Yeah. Now, sheriffs, I'm going to want to know all of you. Yeah, when I say 100 billion, I'm suing all 50 state legislatures, the legislatures of the U.S. territory. Yeah. And the Congress of the United States for admitting any testimony right now. Because I am. Now, I told you that I wasn't there. You decided I was the only citizen in the United States that would not have any protections of the law. I told you that I had the right to restitution, mandatory restitution. You decided to obstruct me from getting that. Right now! You told me that the power of the court was indisputable. And that I had to do what Brent said, because if any citizen of the United States doesn't do what a judge says, it established the precedent right now that courts can violate the laws and there is no recourse to its actual citizens. Now, Brent, this service, Clallam County Sheriff's Office, where a restrained person lives shall promptly serve the restrained party with a copy of this order. Ouch. And shall promptly complete and return to the court the proof of service. Yeah. I was at the Sequim Public Library when you served this. That's not where I reside. And you acted as if you didn't know where I lived. Yeah. I was homeless. Ouch. Now, I'm just wanting to make sure right now. Defendant is not competent to stand trial. It is RCW 10.77.092 as a serious offense per se. Yeah. Now, you accused me of being in Sequim, Washington twice. Yeah. On December 31st of 2015. Yeah. And you said it was a serious offense per se. Yeah. And you made me have to do, right now, mental health evaluation while in jail for 27 days. And you were going to use the testimony. Yeah. The individual was going to testify right now in a court of law that I was incompetent to stand trial and that restoration treatment would be unlikely. Now, the thought that you intentionally used a 1077 to conceal the crimes of Sequim, Washington, yes, Port Angeles, Washington, right now, and Clallam County, right? And then you're going to use the testimony of professional person right now to conceal your crime so as to say that the defendant is incompetent because of your refusal.